You know the game Just Shapes and Beats, right? Of course you do. During the chorus of the Close to Me level, every few seconds the boss will randomly choose one of 3 custom-made attacks to unleash on the player. The claws, the buzzsaws, or the giant gear. I'm not sure how exactly it was programmed in this game, but there is a way to implement this kind of attack in Project Arrhythmia, where it can randomly choose from a selection of pre-made attacks. And it all comes down to this option in the editor called random interval. So theoretically, if you were to recreate the fight from Close to Me in Project Arrhythmia, this is how it would work. You see this one attack happening on your screen, right? In reality, the other 2 attacks are also happening at the exact same time. You just can't see them because they're off screen. So let's pretend this box is what you're seeing on your screen. All 3 of these attacks are parented to one invisible object that we'll label as this green X. So all 3 of the attacks are parented to it, and they will follow it wherever the X goes or appears. So whenever the attack is initiated, the X is programmed to choose one of 3 positions to spawn on. The random interval option lets you do that, and I'll explain how in the video. The point is, if it spawns in this position, it will do this attack number 3. If it chooses this position, it will be attack number 2, and the last position makes it attack number 1. So all 3 positions have an equal chance of being chosen. So I'm going to show you how you can make an object pick between just 3 or more positions so you can make stuff like this. So here's a quick tutorial on how the random interval box works. I can make this square randomly appear between the X positions 0 and 20. So it will just pick a random X position between 0 and 20. But I can add a number to this random interval box, and that way the square will only appear at positions that are multiples of this number. For instance, if I type in 2, the square will only appear at X positions that are in between 0 and 20, but are also multiples of 2. So here, it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 0. 0 is always inclusive. If I type in 4, it will only appear at the multiples of 4, which would be 0, 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Typing in 5 would make those values 0, 5, 10, 15, and 20. Hopefully you know your math and get the idea. For this example though, I'm going to go a little bigger. I'm going to make the X values here negative 500 and positive 500, and then I will set the random interval to 500. So what this means is that the square will only appear at multiples of 500 that are in between positive and negative 500. So the only values it will appear at are negative 500, 0, and positive 500. If I zoom out here, and also make the square a little bigger so you can see, you can see that those are the only 3 positions that the square will spawn at. And I can test that out by clicking the randomization button over and over. So right now it's on the right, now it's in the middle again, now it's on the left. So next, I'm going to parent 2 more objects to this first one. I'm going to call this first object base main. Base main is the original object, the one that chooses a random position. Then I will make a new object right below it and call it base left. I will parent it to base main and make its X position negative 500. Then I'll make a third object by copying and pasting base left below and calling it base right. This object's position will be positive 500. Now I'm just going to change the size of these objects just so you can see. Now if I go back to base main, now when I click the randomizing button over and over, you can see that one of the 3 objects always winds up in the center of the screen. So this is how we're going to implement the pick between 3 attacks thing. I will make 3 attacks and each one will be parented to one of these 3 objects. I'm not going to make very complicated or balanced attacks because I don't have that kind of patience. So first, I'm going to make the warning. This warning will remain in the center and won't be parented to anything. It will just warn the player that a square is going to appear in the middle of the screen. So the first attack that this cube will be able to do is a simple circle-shaped pulse. It will have a picture of a circle on it to indicate that it's going to be that attack. So the attack is finished, and this is how it looks. It's nothing too complicated, but now that I've made it, all I have to do is parent the main object that everything in this attack is parented to one of the 3 bases that I've created. I will choose base left. So now, as you can see, if I go back to base main and I keep clicking the randomizer thing over and over, as you can see, this attack has a 1/3 chance of appearing on the screen. And all I have to do now is make 2 more attacks and parent them to the other 2 bases. So I went ahead and made the second attack already. This one is a lot like the first one, except instead of shooting a circle-shaped pulse, it shoots lasers on all 4 sides. Now, this is going to be like the last attack, except instead of being parented to the first base, it's going to be parented to base main. Now, when I go back to base main, and I keep clicking the randomizer thing over and over, this attack has a chance of appearing on the screen. So I went ahead and made a 3rd attack in another layer. This attack is a lot like the previous one, except the lasers are diagonal. So all I'm going to do is parent this to base right. And all I have to do now is make these 3 bases empty objects. And I'm done. Now this thing will randomly pick between one of the 3 attacks that I've assigned it. So now, if I wanted to make this whole thing into a prefab, all I have to do is copy and paste everything into the same layer. Now, as you can see, it is a little crowded, so all I have to do now is select everything and make a prefab with it. And that's it. All I have to do now, every time I want to spawn this in, I can just use the prefab I made. So, I hope this video helped. I hope it made sense, I hope you understood it, and if there's anything you don't understand, or if you just want to get help with the editor, you can join the Discord. I put a link in the description. The people there are super nice, and they're always willing to help. Also, keep watching my videos.